Welcome to a quick tutorial on Vulcan-CFD installation. You'll need Ubuntu 12, no later version, it's not compatible. And to get the software, click the link below on the software requests page of the Vulcan-CFD website. And the first step is to update apt-get. Type in the following command to do so. It's a pretty quick process. The next thing you'll need to do is install a number of packages that Vulcan-CFD to some extent will use throughout its process. Type in the following command. It's listed here and also shown on my blog. And hit yes, and these will install. The next thing is that we're going to need to install OpenMPI. Go to the following website, download their latest version, whatever it is, and I already have it here on the desktop. Expand it to or extract it into your home directory, and we're going to need to go into it via terminal and install it. The first step is to modify the configure file. Do so this way. And press enter. If you can't tell by now, I am fast forwarding through some of the more tedious points in this tutorial. The next step is to type in the following command and press enter. The next step is that we need to make a Vulcan folder in our home directory. And once you do this, extract the Vulcan files to this directory. You should end up with a folder called version 6.3.0 or whatever the latest build is. All right. The next thing we're going to need to do is create a file to assist our TC sh shell that we installed earlier. Type in the following command using your favorite text editing software. And when it opens up, you need to insert the following commands into this file. And when you're done, make sure you save it. The next step is that we need to modify two Vulcan config files. The first one is going to be for Vulcan itself, and the second is going to be for some of Vulcan's front-end programs, which I found to be a little unstable and buggy. I may be wrong, I may have done it wrong, but yeah. So change to Vulcan version 6.3.0 scripts folder. Here you'll see the Vulcan config and the Vulcan config GUI script files. So let's open up the first file. Alright, so inside this config file there are 8 steps we're going to address. I'll walk you through this real quick. Step 1 is more your computer architecture. So make sure you look up the right one. For each one of these steps, make sure to uncomment the lines that are the most relevant. There is also be sure to look at the Vulcan-CFD install website. This is the chapter 1 on their website. It'll give a little more detail to what we're actually doing here. So for step 2, it's like double precision. For step 3, we're using OpenMPI for our parallelization. And uncomment that line as well. Alright, we're going to be using SSH to communicate. we should have our paths correct, but if for whatever reason using a different path or different version number, change it here. Step 6, I disable metis. I don't actually know what it does, but I'm not using it. Step 7, TechPlot. If you have TechPlot, great. I don't have it. Step 8, there are 2 different ways we can install Vulcan. We can install it so it runs on a single computer, so you would install this without a host machine. But if you want Vulcan to run between multiple computers and make the most of Vulcan's potential, you want to run it with the host machine file. So I'm going to select this second option here. And in addition, I'm going to delete the -no-local parameter. Alright, and that is it for this config file. So we're going to save and open up Vulcan config GUI. Again, this GUI is more for some front end and other options, and a lot of these really aren't relevant. Like GridGen here, we're not using GridGen. You may have it. TechPlot, I don't have it either. I'm not 100% sure what a lot of these do, so I'm activating the ones I know that are right, and a few of these other ones I'm really unsure about. And it's possible this is kicking me in the tail with some of my other work, but and this last one, step 7, is the one that actually gets me the most. Theoretically, because we're using a host file, we're going to be doing parallel execution with a host file instead of without a host file. So if you did not have a host file, you'd fill in these 2 blanks here with one subcluster and however many processing cores you have on your computer. I have 6, so I'm putting in 6. If you are using a host file, which I highly recommend, you would fill in this section here, but I'm a little unsure about these inputs. So save the file. It doesn't seem to really matter. Yeah, if something changes at a later date, I'll be sure to update this. Yeah, I just put in the wrong command. So the next thing you want to do is enter the tcsh shell, and you want to source the config file for this. And the next step is that we're going to install Vulcan, and I should not have left that directory, so I'm going to go back into the scripts directory. And again, to install, type in that above source command, and then type in /install_Vulcan new, and hit enter. This is going to take a little bit, so I'm going to fast forward again. All right, and Vulcan has been installed. So the next step is to let's run an example case. Vulcan comes with a whole bunch of sample files, and I recommend you run through all these sample cases. They're very informative. So we're gonna run one of them called box, and here I am making a folder for this case. It's just the first one in the sample case file. So make sure you get the .dat and the .grd file. The .dat file is the input file for the program, and the grid is the GRD is the grid. So put those in whatever directory you want to run this in. I'm opening up .dat just to make sure that it's only running one processor, which it is. And the next step is to type in, or navigate to the working directory, and the next step is we have to make a hostnames file. Since we're only using one computer for the time being, I'm only going to put in one computer here in this hostnames file. But if you had 10 computers running the same program or same case, you'd put in each one of their IP addresses or SSH shortcut names and the number of processors they have. So again, I'm putting in 127.0.0.1 and 6 processors, because that's what my that's the local IP address of my computer and the number of processors I have. So the next step is to type in the Vulcan command. Before I hit go, let me explain what this means. Again, we're in the TCSH shell. You have to be in that to run Vulcan. The first line is Vulcan. The second input is the number of processors. I'm only giving it 1 in this case. Then we're giving it the host name files, or the name of all the other computers running this, which is just me. The PSG tells it to pre-process, to run it, and then to post-process it. And then I give it the input file, and then I give it an output file. An output file has all the errors and other bits of information. So I ran it, and you'll see it threw an error. So let's go to the output file to see what see what it says. Oh, it says could not find thermodynamic database file. So that's an error in the input file. Having moved that file around, I forgot to update the directory. So let me go do this real quick. So yep, there it is right there. So let's change this to the right directory. So if I back out once, yeah, so let's put in the right directory, which of course I'm not doing here. I'm putting in fact, the wrong directory accidentally. Oh well. The beauty of the output file is that once I run it again and it throws me an error, it'll tell me exactly where I messed up. And I should have // version 6.3.0. And let's save it and run it again. And whoop, another error, big surprise. Let me double check the output file to learn that, yes, again, it doesn't have the right directory for the thermodynamic database. Let me go back and modify that. You'll notice right here the / is magically appear. That's because I paused it to figure out what went wrong. And yeah, so make sure those / are in your directories. And let's run it again. And hey, it's running. It's not throwing any errors, and it appears to be making progress. I'm going to fast forward here for a little bit, and we'll come check on it at the end. And it should be wrapping up here shortly. And yep, there it goes. All 3 steps, the pre-processor, the main processor, and the post-processing completed. And that's it for the very simple cases. Again, run through some of the other sample cases, and I'll post tutorials later on more complicated features of using Vulcan, like modifying input files and more complicated grid structures and boundary conditions and inflow and outflow conditions. There's a lot to this, but for right now, you have the basics.